Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to learn English by reading the news. Now, some of you might find my videos a little bit too fast. Well, there is some good news. If you are watching this video on YouTube, there is a button in the bottom right of this video that you can click to slow it down, and then you can follow along more easily. If you're watching this on another app or another website, you might have that same option, but I'm not sure. Let's get started. So our article today is called Can Houseplants Purify the Air in Your Home? Okay, so let's start with that first word there, purify. It's quite a big word. It comes from pure, which means clean and perfect. Okay, we're talking about the air here. So it's about clean and perfect air. But it's purify, isn't it? Not pure. So we've turned that into a verb. We've changed an adjective to a verb by adding ify. Okay? So can houseplants purify the air in your home? So this article is by somebody called Christine Rowe. It's for BBC News, and it was published on the 21st of July 2023. Now, this was a very long article, so I have shortened it. Okay? If you want to read the whole thing, which I encourage you to do, you can still do that. There's a link in the description. Let's jump into it. Most people don't realize just how many pollutants are swirling around indoors. Many of the products we use for cleaning and freshening our homes are adding invisible toxins to the air. Let's take a look. We have this word pollutant, okay? And it's similar to toxin. So let's talk about those together. Pollutant might look familiar to you. It's to do with pollution, okay? When we're talking about the air, the pollution can be from cars or from factories and things like that. And toxins are those things in the air that can make us sick. Okay, so they're saying these things are in the air, even indoors. Okay, indoors is just a nice way to say inside a building. In this case, probably inside our houses. There's an interesting verb here, swirling. Okay, I love this verb. It's really fun to say, swirling or swirl. So that's actually a motion, a way something moves. I think the best way to show it to you is to actually draw it. So you can imagine the air moving in this sort of way. Yeah? We're swirling through the air. It's sort of loose curves. Sometimes we're going into a loop. Okay? It's swirling. So the pollutants are swirling around indoors in our homes and making us sick. So that's a shame. Let's read a little more about it. Indoor air pollution is highly complex, little regulated, and often beyond individual control. Road traffic produces nitrogen dioxide, while moisture and structural issues in buildings can lead to mold. Okay, we've got a few words here. Highly complex. These are two words that collocate. It means they naturally go together. They don't have to for grammar. It's just we usually see them that way. So highly complex. But what does complex mean? It means difficult, not simple. So in air pollution, we can't just look at the pollution and see one problem. It's probably a lot of problems, maybe a lot of different chemicals in the air, and then how they work together. You can see how quickly it becomes difficult to understand everything. That's why we say it's complex. Okay? We could say the English language is complex too. I think it is. There's a lot of grammar rules to learn. There's a lot of words that break the rules too. So that's a complex example. Little regulated. Okay? If something is regulated, it's being made to follow some rules, usually. Okay? So indoor air pollution, nobody is making any rules to try to control air pollution. Or at least most are not. It says little. regulated, doesn't it? So it's a little bit regulated. It's interesting we can do that. Use that word little to quantify an adjective like this. How regulated is it? A little. So we can say it is little regulated. And often beyond individual control. If something is beyond, it's further than we can deal with. Okay, so this camera is beyond my reach. I can't reach it. It is beyond me. And the indoor air pollution is beyond individual control. An individual just means one person and control. So it is beyond what one person can control. Road traffic produces nitrogen dioxide. Produce is just a fancy word for make. So road traffic makes nitrogen dioxide, while moisture and structural issues in buildings can lead to mold. Moisture is wetness, okay? And structural issues, when we talk about structure, we're talking about how something is built. So, I was a university student. I've lived in some really horrible buildings which had structural issues. The walls were cracking, maybe the ceiling and the wall had a gap in there, things like that, structural issues, structural problems, which can lead to mold. So they've said the word can because it doesn't always lead to mold. Okay, lead to just means it can make this happen. Okay, so not eating for 6 hours can lead to hunger. Your hunger can lead to you cooking, for example. And then mold is some really nasty stuff that you might have in your bathroom or in your kitchen. Usually it's black, I find. You might find some black spots on the walls. Maybe I can find a picture. Okay, here's a picture of some disgusting black mold. Really nasty stuff, really difficult to get rid of. Let's move on. This is one reason that it's so appealing to think of potted plants as passively and inexpensively cleaning the air. Plant leaves take in carbon dioxide and other pollutants. Okay, this is one reason it's so appealing. If something is appealing, it means it makes you want to do it, or makes you want to eat it, or makes you want to do something with it. Okay, so this idea that potted plants can clean the air is appealing. It's a nice thought that we like to believe. We've got this adjective here, potted plants, and the reason for that is it comes from the word pot. Okay, pot has many meanings. You probably have pots in your house, but a plant pot is usually made of terracotta, maybe orange, the same kind of feeling as brick. And when you put a plant in there, it is a potted plant. And then this word passively, okay? If something is passive, it means you're not actively trying to do it. Let's take this to English, okay? So we have speaking and writing, which are active skills. We have to use our brains and, actually do something. And then something passive would be listening or reading, okay? We just have to see or hear something and it comes in. We don't have to work too hard to get that in, okay? So to think of potted plants as passively and inexpensively cleaning the air. That word inexpensively, some of you will have figured it out because you know the word expensive, okay? When we put in front of a word, it means not expensive. And this "ly" makes it an adverb, okay? It's just describing how plants clean the air. They do it inexpensively. It's a bit like I run quickly or slowly. Plant leaves take in carbon dioxide and other pollutants. There's that word again, pollutants, horrible things in the air that you don't want there. However, you need an awful lot of plants in very well-lit space to make any measurable impact, says Tiana Blanusa. Okay, you need an awful lot. That's an interesting phrase. Awful, when we hear that word, we think like terrible, not good, bad. But here, an awful lot just means a lot, a lot. Okay, like really a lot. So you need an awful lot of plants in very well lit space. Okay, if something is lit, it means the light is on it. I am well lit now by 1, 2, 3 lights. So well lit, lit in a good way. Space is just an area. My office is a space. The park is a space. So it could just mean anything really, any place. To make any measurable impact. Okay, here's another one we could break up. Measure. You can think of a ruler, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters. And when we use that, we are measuring something. My laptop is, I don't know, 40 centimeters wide, for example. And then we add able, which turns it into an adjective, but it means we are able to measure it. Okay, so something that is measurable might be my laptop screen. We can measure the size, right? It is measurable. But something that isn't measurable is perhaps my happiness. That's very difficult to measure. Maybe we can't say that's measurable, although maybe there are some ways. Then we have this word impact. Some of you will have seen my short video a long time ago talking about effect and how a lot of people aren't sure which one to use, effect or effect. So they just say impact, which means both. Some researchers have moved to active living green walls, which can concentrate more plants and also filter air more efficiently. Okay. So some researchers, people who do research. Okay. Now I'm a teacher. I am somebody who teaches. They are researchers. They are people who research. Have moved to active living green walls. Now this is more of a name. So I think the best thing I can do is show you a picture. So you can see the wall at the back here is made up of plants. It is a green living wall. And it's got this word here, concentrate. It can concentrate more plants. When we concentrate something, we take a lot of things and fit them into a smaller space. Okay? So computers, they've developed very quickly in my lifetime. I'm nearly 30 years old. They've come a long, long way. And they're getting smaller, yet faster. Okay? So researchers and developers, they have found ways to concentrate all of the computer chips and motherboard and everything we need in a computer. They've managed to concentrate it into a smaller space. So that's what we mean by concentrate in this context. We're fitting as many plants as we can into a small space. That's best done on a living green wall. Okay, and we've got this word filter. Now think about when we wear a mask, okay? That filters the air as it comes in to our bodies, okay? So it's kind of the air going through lots of little holes that block out pollutants and viruses and things. Here, the plants can filter the air more efficiently. Efficiently means faster, better, cheaper. Those kinds of things, just better in general. It is more efficient. Air from the room is pushed through the root systems over and above the level that would happen naturally with plants in a pot. Let's start with root systems. If you have ever bought a spring onion or many other vegetables, you'll notice that at the bottom we get some, well, it looks like hair, doesn't it? Well, they're actually the roots, and all of the roots together makes up a root system. Then we have this. This is a phrase, over and above. Okay, over and above just means much better. That's literally it. So I speak English over and above the level of a newborn baby. Okay, I'm just much better at English than a newborn baby. I don't want to brag, but that's the way it is. Kavita Kamari, Kandal's associate director, says that simply opening a window to allow the outflow of indoor air pollutants doesn't work in highly built up areas where outdoor pollutants can enter at the same time. We've got a lot to unpack here. Let's start with outflow. I think we can figure this one out if we break it up. So this is a compound noun, outflow. Okay, let's swap them around. Flow, out. When we think of flow, we usually think of water flowing down a river, just moving. But air can flow too. And then out, it can move out. Simple as that. So we're trying to move the air out the window. But she says that this doesn't work in highly built up areas. If an area is built up, we're talking about a place with busy roads, high buildings, and things like that. So I used to live in Bangkok. Bangkok is an extremely highly built up area. When you walk down the street, you can't hear anything because the cars are so loud and there's so many of them. And some days you got to put a mask on just because of the pollution. It's just so many people in the same place, it creates more pollutants. So that's what they're talking about. If you live in that kind of place, opening the window to let the fresh air in and to let the bad air out doesn't really work because the air outside is bad too, and maybe in worse ways. For now, however, the actual air purification benefits of indoor plants are limited. Okay, we've got air purification here. I talked about purify and pure earlier on. Purification is the noun that means to make something pure, okay, to make something cleaner and nicer. And we have this word limited. It means they can only do so much, okay? So I'm trying to learn Chinese. I speak a little bit, but my Chinese is limited. I can't have a big, long conversation because I only know this many words, for example. So that's our article today. As always, I'm going to read the whole thing now. I am not going to stop for any reason. So feel free to pause and process as I speak. And remember, you can also slow this down. Let's get into it. Can houseplants purify the air in your home? Most people don't realize just how many pollutants are swirling around indoors. Many of the products we use for cleaning and freshening our homes are adding invisible toxins to the air. Indoor air pollution is highly complex, little regulated, and often beyond individual control. Road traffic produces nitrogen dioxide, while moisture and structural issues in buildings can lead to mold. This is one reason that it's so appealing to think of potted plants as passively and inexpensively cleaning the air. Plant leaves take in carbon dioxide and other pollutants. However, you need an awful lot of plants in a very well-lit space to make any measurable impact, says Tiana Blanusa. Some researchers have moved to active living green walls, which can concentrate more plants and also filter air more efficiently. Air from the room is pushed through the root systems over and above the level that would happen naturally with plants in a pot. Kavita Kumari, Kundal's associate director, says that simply opening a window to allow the outflow of indoor air pollutants doesn't work in highly built up areas where outdoor pollutants can enter at the same time. For now, however, the actual air purification benefits of indoor plants are limited. Okay guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching and listening today. Remember, you can go to englishwithreese.com to level up your English even faster. I'll see you next time.